with Escape from Tarkov just literally around the corner, there is massive interest in this game by lots of players. And with the closed beta will be a massive influx of new players and possibly a huge market for a lot of new players to actually buy the game and experience it for themselves. Now, the only thing that I see a lot as a long-time alpha player myself, there's quite a lot of confusion in regards to certain aspects of the game that I see on the Reddit, on the forums, official forums, YouTube comments, and basically, like, this video is just to go through some of the most commonly seen questions that I see in a lot of these platforms, and it's just to kind of clear up some of these things for people so that before they might buy into the closed beta, just basically answering these questions so that they sort of have a kind of a peace of mind before investing into the project. So guys, so yeah, just sit back, watch the video and enjoy. The first thing we're going to talk about is probably one of the most frequently asked questions I always see about the game is this game open world? Is it free roam? And the answer to that is yes and no. So basically, how the game works is primarily there are instances called raids, and basically there's going to be 10 of these raids throughout the area of Tarkov in roughly around the space around 10 square kilometers. So basically, the idea of the game is basically you start at the streets of Tarkov, you work your way through the game, completing each raid until you reach the last raid, which is the terminal, and then you essentially escape Tarkov. And basically within the raids there is going to be quests, there's going to be story, there's like a storyline, there's basically going to be lots of things to do within raids, and you can revisit the raids as much as you want, but basically the primary goal of the game is to escape Tarkov. Now, once you do complete the 10 raids and you escape Tarkov, then this is when the sort of open world free roam kind of mode of the game comes into play. It'll be unlocked, and basically it will be a 16 square kilometer of basically an area of all the raids kind of seamlessly connected. But since it's 16 square kilometers, it's going to be it should be bigger than the actual total size of all the actual raids. And as far as I know, the open world will not have any type of kind of quests or kind of like storyline stuff. It'll kind of be kind of primarily for sort of doing exploring, scavenging. I believe there's going to be dynamic events, so there could be like stuff like possibly there could be a like a crashed helicopter that appears in the game, kind of similar to how the helicopter crash spawns in DayZ work. And basically it's going to be 64 players across the 16 square kilometer area, and kind of that's basically it. There's no kind of persistence to it. It's basically the open world is kind of like a session with 64 players, and basically you just sort of go in and do your thing, and then you extract, and then basically once everybody has either died or extracted in the raids and also the open world, then basically that session ends completely. There's no persistence in that actual world. The second thing we're going to talk about is the stash and secure container that is mentioned in the pre-order, in the pre-orders for the game. So basically, just to kind of briefly go through what each of these are, right? So basically, your stash is when you're out of raid, on the main menu you can access your stash. That contains all your weapons, armor, medical supplies, food, basically whatever you obtained in game and you want to keep or use for a later date, you keep it in your stash. And basically Um, this, depending on the pre-order tier that you get, will determine the size of the stash that you will get when the game fully releases and also during testing. So basically, standard edition is 10 by 20 squares. Left Behind edition is 10 by 30. Prepare to Escape is 10 by 40, and then the Edge of Darkness edition is the largest stash in the game, which is basically 10 by 60. So basically, now the confusion with the particular stash kind of questions that I usually kind of see is people are wondering that when, like, basically if they get the standard edition is basically 10 by 20 all what they're going to be getting, like the guys who pre-order the higher tiers, like that's the only way that you can actually get a higher, like a bigger stash is by getting the pre-orders, the higher tier pre-orders, which actually isn't the case. Basically, the devs have confirmed that you will be able to upgrade your stash in game by doing various things such as quests, like quests from the traders, and then you'll get like stash sizes as your upgraded stash size as a reward, and so on. And then basically with the secure container, so basically the secure container in game is, it's like a little container that you have on your PMC, and basically anything that's in the secure container, when you die, you will not lose. So basically it keeps everything secure essentially. Because in the game, when you die, anything you have in your body you lose except for what's in your secure container. Now, basically for the standard edition and Left Behind editions, the secure container size is 2 by 2. Prepare to Escape is 2 by 3, and then Edge of Darkness is 3 by 3. So the name of the containers is like alpha, beta, and then gamma. And basically the same thing kind of happened. It's like same comments that I always see is about the secure containers, that people are worried that they won't be able to get the higher, the bigger secure containers in game, and you will be able to get them. You will. It's basically the same thing as the upgrading the stash. You will be doing quests, or paying a lot of money to essentially upgrade your secure container in game. Now the devs have said that there might even be a bigger secure container than the 3x3. We might be getting a 3x4, but I asked the developers directly on this on the official forum, and they said that basically it's going to be, they haven't fully decided on it yet. It'll kind of be subject to kind of testing and balancing. So if they feel that it's kind of an okay thing to go ahead with, then we will be able to get a 3x4 secure container in game. But if they feel that it might be a bit too OP, then we won't be getting it. And also adding to this, basically there will be options for additional stashes in game, such as when you create a clan, there will be a communal clan stash as well, that everybody can kind of share their gear and basically just kind of overall increase the capacity of storage in game as well. The next thing we're talking about is microtransactions and pay to win. This is another kind of comment or question that I see on various kind of social media platforms, and basically based off what people see in the pre-orders, they think that will the game have microtransactions, or will it be pay to win? And basically the short answer is no. The devs have said that there will be strictly no microtransactions in the game. You will not be paying any real money for items in game. Basically everything, as I've mentioned before, like the stash size, secure container, can be obtained in game. Weapons, armor, everything basically that the pre-order editions can get, you can get in game. Now the only exceptions are with the Edge of Darkness, and the two unique things that Edge of Darkness owners get over anybody else that cannot be obtained in game is the Tomahawk and the unique in-game ID, which we kind of don't know exactly what is. I think I remember hearing the COO of Battlestate Games in an interview saying that it could possibly be kind of like a unique dog tag in game, and basically that's it. So basically everything else besides that can be obtained in game. You can upgrade your stash, your secure container, weapons you can obviously get in game, armor, everything can be found in game. And basically even the Edge of Darkness owners, when they get basically most of the higher tier pre-orders, they're sort of getting like a head start in the game. They're not, they don't get to keep those things. Like if they bring those things into a raid and they die, they lose them forever. Now whether they insure those items, which we'll go that'll be another question that I'll be covering in this video, is the insurance. But basically there is no microtransactions. It's not pay to win. The devs have said that they will be releasing DLC for this game in the future, so it'll be like additional content for the game that everybody will have to pay for. Now Edge of Darkness owners, as part of the Edge of Darkness package, you get a season pass, and they've said that that'll include all the future DLC free for life. So basically that's sort of almost one of the advantages of buying the Edge of Darkness, and why it might be a good bit more expensive than other editions, is because it includes the season pass, and they've said that DLC could be anywhere between like $20 and $30 or kind of something of like that amount. So the fourth question is basically what I've seen a lot is, surprisingly, is people have asked, is there zombies or mutants in the game? Because Escape from Tarkov, like, a lot of people draw a lot of similarities to games like DayZ and S.T.A.L.K.E.R, which isn't the case. They're like, Escape from Tarkov is very unique in its own way, and it does kind of differ a lot from those two games. And basically the short answer is no, there's no zombies or mutants in the game. The only AI kind of PvE element in the game is the form of AI Scavs, which is short for scavengers, which you can also play as in the game. So basically the Scavs in the game can be both AI and players, but that's basically it. So like the only kind of PvE element in the game is the Scavs. I have heard rumors that there actually might be like kind of like a sort of like a pseudo kind of faction in the game that could possibly be the Russian military. So in one of the raids there could be the Russian military, and they're going to be very hostile. So basically I think it's going to be implied that that both factions will have to team together to actually successfully survive the raid against the Russian military. But I don't know if that's exactly true. We'll just have to wait and see. The next question we are going to be talking about, does the game have a lot of kill on sight? Is there basically a kill on sight mentality in the game? And at the moment, yes, there is. A lot of people just kill their own faction. They basically just kill everything. If you play as a Scav, you're likely going to be attacked and killed by other player Scavs. Now, is this going to be a problem for the future of the game? I don't think it will be. Basically, the devs have said, and we've known for a long time, that basically there's going to be a karma system being implemented for the PMCs, where basically by killing your own faction, your character will net negative karma. And how negative karma works in the game is things like how kind of you'd kind of almost expect karma to work. Your gun is going to jam a lot more kind of frequently. You're going to be prone to getting more stressed, which does things like affect your vision and other things, and you're going to be more prone to getting sick. And another impact of negative karma is that there's going to be a reputation system for traders. So basically, if you kill your own faction, the trader that's kind of specific or friendly to your faction, you won't be able to level them up, and then probably even eventually they won't trade with you at all. So basically, there's going to be, we don't know the full details of what is going to happen with um, karma and like how negative karma impacts kind of everything overall. But it does kind of seem like it might be a good kind of deterrent. Now, does that mean it's going to eliminate kill on sight? No, I don't think so. I think it'll definitely mitigate it a lot. Because if it just kind of completely inconveniences a lot of players and they end up kind of dying a lot due to it, I could see a lot of people who do currently have a kill on sight mentality might kind of switch. They might kind of switch to actually being a lot more friendly to their own faction members. Also adding to this, there is also like the raids are going to actually have karmic additions attached to them. So there's going to be some certain raids where you won't actually be even able to kill the opposing faction, or you will net negative karma. Because I think the sort of what the devs are kind of trying to go for with the game is, because it's going to be so story focused and how the two factions, S.T.A.L.K.E.R, like they're kind of intertwined to the Russia 2028 lore, that basically they sort of almost imply that they kind of want players, well, like they want players of their own faction to be teaming up, but also in certain circumstances they want they basically want the two factions teaming up to kind of sort of face a bigger threat to survive and escape Tarkov. Like as I was mentioning in one of the previous questions on this video, there is possibly rumored to be there could be a Russian military AI kind of faction in the game, and it could be extremely hard to defeat. So you'll kind of have to team up with the other the opposing faction in the raid to basically kind of win against this particular foe and escape and survive the raid. And in regards the scavs, the devs like as far as what I've read, there won't be a karma system for scavs, but the devs have confirmed that basically scav on scav kills. So if you are a scav and you kill another scav, then basically you will incur fines. What that fine will entail hasn't been officially confirmed. It could be something like the cooldown timer on the scav mode could be increased like a lot, or it could be like it could net you a lot less experience, or you might actually have to pay money or like in-game currency or something. I'm not 100% sure, but basically they've said that basically scav on scav kills will incur fines, and they also have said that it'll kind of invoke kind of harsher reactions from the other scavs. So basically, if you kill another scav, like I think they're kind of implying that it'll be a lot more difficult for you to try escape with the loot that you've sort of killed your scav brethren for. So basically, yeah, you'll kind of have to weigh up the options if killing a scav to take their loot is going to be worth the risk of actually potentially having every single thing in the raid trying to kill you. The next question we're going to be covering, which I see a lot, almost just as much as all the others, is basically, will Escape from Tarkov have a single player or PvE only option? And basically the short answer for this is, again, no. The game is strictly online. It has basically PvP and PvE elements in the game. So essentially you're going to be fighting when you go into a raid and the free roam open world game mode. You're going to be fighting against other players and also AI. There is currently an sort of like a offline mode in testing for alpha testing, but that's basically was just added as a testing platform for people to test certain things, and like none of the loot that you obtain in this offline mode you can actually carry over. It's just there's no persistency to this mode, and I believe the devs are going to be removing it in closed beta, and then if not definitely on release. So unfortunately guys, there will be no single player or PvE only option. Next, this question complements our last question. Is there going to be a PvP only mode? And yes, there will be. So basically, one of the other modes that you'll be able to unlock. I assume it's unlock. I don't know whether if it'll be there straight away on release, but there's going to be an arena game mode, which is basically going to be sort of like a competitive 5v5 type of game mode. Now, as far as I'm aware, it's going to be actually quite limited to the locations. If I remember correctly, I was reading that there's probably going to be like 2 locations for the arena game mode, and they're going to be like, so there might be like closed off portions of one of the raid maps essentially. So like I think I heard, like I saw something that I could like one of the arena locations could be like a closed off mall or something like that. So basically, yes, a PvP only game mode will be coming to the game. So the last question I'm going to be covering for this video is basically one that is discussed a lot, kind of particularly among people who might not have any experience of the current alpha gameplay builds, but basically, how does the insurance in the game work? Insurance was kind of recently added to the in one of the recent alpha patches, and basically I'm just going to go through just the essentials of how the insurance system works in this game. If I can try to provide any kind of visual, like kind of screenshots or whatever, like just to kind of iterate on my point, I'll try. But basically, so how it works is not each trader, but certain traders provide services, and some of those services could be insurance. For example, currently in the game, the therapist and proper traders insure items, and basically you insure your items like individually, or you can insure them in a batch, usually before you go into an actual raid. You can insure the items all in a batch. Now, how the insurance works fundamentally is when you bring insured items into a raid, when you die, if your insured items do not leave the raid instance, then you will be getting those items back. So basically, if you die and you've got insured gear and nobody picks up your weapon, or if you even drop your weapon on the ground somewhere, or if somebody else picks up your weapon and basically they might die to another player, or like an AI scav, and it doesn't get picked up off their body, then essentially you will be able to reclaim it. At the moment, it's kind of between, I think, like 64 and 72 hours, or kind of something like that. So like basically kind of maximum 3 days or so. And basically, once they have been reclaimed, you will get a notification in your message box in the game from the respective trader that you've insured the item with, that it's ready to collect. And basically, once they've reclaimed it, you'll actually have 24 hours to collect your items for that specific kind of insurance case. So there kind of will probably be some kind of issues with people that they might insure a lot of gear, and then if they die and then they have to go away for a couple of days, the most likely case is that if they did have an insurance reclaim on those items, that they'll actually probably lose them. And that's basically it. So you won't be getting any return of money back in the game, or you won't be getting like a portion of the cost of the item. It's basically if the item, like the weapon, the armor, the backpacks, or like anything you insure, if you die and it doesn't leave the raid instance by like another player, then essentially you will be getting back that item, and kind of that's essentially it. Now, in regards to sort of the time it takes to get the insurance items back, like as I said, it's like up to a maximum of 3 days, like kind of minimum about 2 days, but that could all change like with the trader reputation system that's going to be coming in. I don't know that if you increase your trader reputation, if they're actually going to be you're going to have faster reclaim times, or if it's going to be overall cheaper to insure your items with a specific trader that you've kind of had you've got a lot of goodwill with essentially. And just even kind of some current mechanics in the game at the moment. The therapist insures an item for roughly 10% of its actual cost, but she has no minimum spend of insurance. So she's very good for kind of insuring the very small the least expensive items. So your possibly your pistols, your backpacks, your headgear, scav vests, all that kind of stuff. But Prapper, he insures items for really a really low amount. Like it costs roughly, the insurance with him is about 1 to 2% of the actual item cost. Now the trade-off for that is that you need to spend a minimum of 1,000 rubles in insurance for you to actually successfully get him to insure those items for you. So what I've been doing in game is I've been kind of insuring all my kind of low cost, kind of least expensive gear with Therapist, and then all my expensive weapons and armor and stuff. I'll kind of just kind of pack it on my character, and then before I go into a raid, I'll insure all the items in one big batch with Prapper, and then I'll just kind of click back out and then kind of put those items into my stash again, and that's it. They're completely insured, and you can basically insure a whole bunch of assault rifles and armor for like dirt cheap with Prapper. So I don't know how if that's going to change in future game builds, or I kind of assume that insurance is going to be balanced through the development right up until release anyway. So but that's essentially it. I don't know if I might have missed out kind of one or two things kind of explaining it, because it is kind of one of those sort of gray areas that not a lot of people understand, and I don't even know if I fully understand it myself, but as far as I'm aware, that's how it actually works. So there you go, guys.